So good day all and welcome to the South African Putting Green. Okay, Laka, welcome to another video, and this video is step 2 of building a putting green, or my putting green at least. So yeah, in this video we're going to talk about irrigation. So if you haven't watched the first video of me planning it, maybe go and do that after this video. But in this video we're going to do irrigation on this small putting green of mine. And why I like to do videos on a small project like this is you don't lose track of the things that you really want to say in the video, or get through the word that you want to get through in the video. So hopefully today we can go a little bit more in depth, or not really in depth, just I think the traps that people fall into when doing DIY irrigation. And if you were wondering if you could do an irrigation job, maybe this is the video for you to watch. So stick around. I'm going to share with you the things to look out for and the things to know beforehand before you tackle a project like this. But is this a project for you? That you will have to decide for yourself. But in all fairness, before we get any further into this thing, I really think this is an awesome, a really lekker DIY project for you to tackle if you're fairly, even like just a little bit handy. This project, I don't want to say should be a breeze for you, but should definitely be something that you'll be capable to do without getting 4th degree exhaustion, if there's ever anything like that. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. Stick around if you want to watch it. There you go. Okay, so as you can see, I'm busy setting up my irrigation system here. But before you do anything, you actually need to plan. I always say that in the beginning, but planning is of utmost importance if you don't want to make the mistakes that I normally make. Okay, so the very first thing that you do before you get started with anything, even before you go and buy the irrigation system, is a flow rate and pressure test. But even more important than pressure is flow rate, because if you have decent flow rate, then it means that you should have sufficient pressure. Like, just determining your flow rate will really give you a good indication whether or what size irrigation system you can go for. And how do we do a flow rate test? Very simple, a bucket test. How do we determine the flow rate? With a bucket test. Let's go and do that now. Okay, so what have I got here? You need for this exercise a container which you know the volume of. So I know that this is a 25 litre container, and you also need a tap, preferably as close as possible to where your irrigation system will start from, because that'll give you the best indication. Obviously you're going to have more pressure and more flow closer to where the region is. So if you're working off the municipal thing there, where it starts at your gate at the municipal thing, that's where your best pressure and flow rate's going to be. I know that this is very close to where my sprinkler system starts, quite far from the region, so it'll give me a better indication what my flow rate is. Yeah. Okay, so very simply what you do is you open your tap full power, gooi hom wyd oop, vinnig as wat jy kan. And then you time how long it takes for this water to fill this container of yours right here. And now we wait. Okay, so very simply, I looked at the recording of this video and I gathered some data that it took 35 seconds to fill 25 litres. So very simply what you do is you take your 25 litres divided by however many seconds it took. So if you've got a 10 litre bucket, you take 10 litres divided by, let's say, 15 seconds, and you times that by 60, and that'll give you litres per minute. So from my data here, I've got 42 litres per minute, or roughly 40, and I've got a reduced size pipe right there. So my actual line is 1 inch, and that pipe that's coming out there is 15 mil. So I know that it's almost impossible for me to have less than 40 litres per minute. I know that because I've done it plenty times, and also my pump actually pumps out 80 litres per minute that comes from my Jojo tank. But if you've got municipal water, that's the easiest way to figure out what your average flow rate would be, and that now will indicate to you how many sprinklers you can put in a single line. So if you've got a big area, whether you're going to need 1 zone, 2 zones or 3 zones. So let's talk about that quickly. Whew, geez, I'm still out of breath. all this walking, I'm really unfit. Okay, so guys, very simply, a good rule of thumb is you need approximately 10 liters of water per minute per sprinkler. They don't use that much. They use about 6 or 7 liters per minute at full gooi. And that will greatly depend on which type of sprinklers you use. So I've got these, what are these, Rainbird 5000 plus, and it all is determined by the actual nozzle size. So in the previous video I said to you that that's millimeter size, and it isn't really. I actually gathered this information later on, that the actual number on the nozzle indicates the amount of gallons per minute. So that gives you a great indication as to how much water your sprinkler is going to use. And then, very importantly, listen carefully, you can use approximately 60%. This is my own data now. Approximately 60% of your total available flow rate per minute. So let's say you've got 100 liters per minute, which is rare. You can use 60 liters per minute there. If you've only got 20 liters per minute, you'll only be able to use about 14 or 15 liters per minute of that for sprinkler usage. Because you must remember that obviously the flow pressure then drastically drops the faster the water flows. So you still want sufficient pressure to push that sprinkler up and irrigate properly, instead of just gooing a couple of drops out the nozzle. Okay, just an extra side note. If you've done this whole project and you've now realized that, ooh, I made a calculation error, or I'm not getting as much water as I thought I would get, then not the end of the world. As you can see on this Rainbird Unispray small pop-up sprayer, you've got this screw type setting there, which throttles it down and actually closes it down if you want to shut off the sprinkler in a zone completely. And also you get this with this Rainbird pop-up sprayers, which you insert the nozzle there. So you've got actually two options with these ones. You can obviously throttle it down by using your Rainbird key, or you can insert obviously a lower gallons per minute or a lower flow rate per minute nozzle, so a smaller one. If you've got a 1.5, put in a 1 mil or whatever the case may be. So you could adjust them later on. This just gives you a great indication beforehand how much water you will have available, and also so you don't completely overshoot by adding 6 sprinklers in a possible 4 sprinkler zone, if you get what I'm saying. Kwe fool. Kwe. Okay, like so after you've done your planning on how many sprinklers you need, now trenching. I'm going to do trenching now. Quite important. Easy to start off strong here and finish like a donkey in the July. Okay, so yeah, basically all you need to know is dig almost a foot deep. A great indication is the sprayer itself, sorry, very bad planning. The sprayer itself, plus it's fitting at the bottom, that depth is probably your minimum depth for your pipe, because you will forget where your pipe is, and then next time you come with a garden fork or wara and you poke hole, boom, straight into that pipe. So I've planned out this. I'm going to tell you my planning right now, but I'm going to dig a line straight around the whole perimeter of this green, so it won't be along the edges. Edges is normally a safer place, but I'm going to dig it right along the perimeter of this green, so I know where the pipe is all the way around. At least, I would say almost a foot deep, but like 20 centimeters deep is sufficient. So, and go and measure your garden fork. However, to the depth that you're going to stick that thing into the ground, go deeper than that, please. Just check how neat that is, guys. Proper trenching. He digs quite a bit better than I do. These are really nice and deep trenches. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but they are really nice and deep. Ready for sprinklers, in my opinion. Yo! Now it's gotten dark very quickly, and it's actually starting to drip, yeah? 7th of May. May, Janne. Ja, nee, okay, lekker. Yeah, so the rain and the darkness caught me. So it's now 2 days later. However, yesterday I wasn't lazy. I did also record a little bit. I did join some pipes and those type of things right there, all the way to my irrigation system here, because it wasn't linked up. As you can see, I joined it right there. It needs to be backfilled, and nowadays I've gotten so lazy that I almost refuse to work alone. So Jomo's here to help me now. One day AB, one day Jomo. That's how I roll. Okay, so lekker. I think everything's lekker, and I must say I'm quite surprised at how, I won't say compact the soil is. Just, it's been lying here for 3 weeks. I won't say it's compact, but it's settled down quite nicely. Not a lot of sinking down and whatever. So I'm only digging the sides now here, so we shouldn't have too much settling afterwards again. I'll maybe just roll over it with my real mower, with a rear roller, to compact it even further down, so that afterwards we don't have this whatever. Okay. En nou hier is die cherry doring my. Bloei dit. Is it bleeding? Okay, now to see if I've got the right pipe connected here. Please be the right one. Please, 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 please. Oh, cook. Nee man. Yeah, so yesterday I had a bit of a corpse here because I tested for water there, and then I forgot, I'm using an old irrigation line, and I forgot that it was T-joining to somewhere else. So the water was streaming out somewhere else. After 10 minutes I realized there's not going to come water out there, so I'm going to test it now. I haven't tested it yet. Please, please, please be good. Is it going to work, Jomo?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Okay. There we go. Success. Oh, geez, I better close. Shit. Okay, now we're going to work here in the Vol Dam. Okay, so I've just asked Jomo to dig all around the edge to join up to there. And this is completely unnecessary in my case, but one super tip that some plumber actually at one of the hardwares gave me is, if you ever run out of pressure, or let's say your pressure falls down if you've got a 5 sprinkler system, is to ring feed, or he called it ring feed. I don't know if that's the correct word, but basically what you do is you run your line all the way through the sprinklers and then run a circle back to the region of the water. So basically what you're doing is you're keeping the pressure constant throughout the entire system, because what easily happens is your line starts and the sprinklers start off quite strong, but as it goes further down the line it builds up more friction and you actually lose pressure. So you'll see your last sprinkler shoot not nearly as far as the first one. So doing this ring feeding, so basically getting water from both sides, will ensure you have the same pressure almost throughout the entire system. So that's what I'm doing there. Completely unnecessary, but I'm just doing this for the purpose of this video. I hope you appreciate that. So we're going to join that pipe right there, running around this side and running around that side. Completely unnecessary. The entire, what do you call it, is it circumference of this thing is probably only 20 meters, so I think a joke, but we'll do it for you. Laying of the pipe. Lekker. Very lekker. Okay, so what I've done now is I just try to plan as well as possible before I actually insert the sprinklers into the ground, so I can make sure that my angles of where each sprinkler goes is perfect. And this is quite an important part, I promise you, because almost even when doing proper planning, there's always some areas that get missed. Now with cool season grasses like this Kentucky bluegrass, or with this bent green that's going to require quite a lot of water, it is quite important that you plan properly so that you can try and get your sprinklers to nail every part of your yard. That's why I said if you work in straight lines like a square or even a triangle or whatever the case may be, instead of a rounding edge, makes it quite easy, because missing a small spot in an edge where there's a rounding is quite easy. So I'm just planning as well as I possibly can to try and irrigate this entire area, and also the edges of the screen there. What do you call this? Basically my fringe. Don't know what the correct word is. But yeah, basically my fringe area, I also want to irrigate that with the same system, because that other system is now going to service the general area of this Kentucky bluegrass. Okay, so I've got this pipe around this entire area. I've got some whatever just to hold the pipe down or in place. And now where each of these sprinklers are, I'm just going to cut the pipe and add and join on the sides, if that makes sense to you. Always cut away from your hands here, guys. I saw my cut into the soil. I've changed these blades so often that I really don't mind cutting into the grass or the soil right here. Okay, so this particular pipe that I've got is so tight that what I do is, like with a lot of force you can get it in, but what I do sometimes is I use my blade here and I literally just shave the edges off to make that part that enters the fitting just a little bit smaller. I'm just doing this now for explanation purposes, like that. And then normally when you've gone almost right around that half, or that half of the pipe here is smaller, then it goes in a fair bit easier, like that. It just fits into that fitting a lot easier. When you do that, it takes a lot more time, or it takes a bit more time, but then you can actually get it in if you don't have enough power to force it in. Okay, so I'm done with the actual fitting of the sprinklers. As you'll see, I've got all my filters here, not installed yet. I'm going to turn out all of those heads, and I'm first going to flush the system because I even saw in this pipe early on that there's quite a lot of dirt. So I'm going to take off all the heads quickly, just unscrew them, and then flush it for a minute or so, and then fit the heads back on, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, okay, so my trenches are probably going to be full of mud. I'm here at the back, how's it? But that's okay, because I'll rather deal with that than having a sprinkler that functions for 5 seconds and then they're all clogged. So there she goes. Here comes the water. Oh, the water actually looks quite clean, eh, Joma? Not bad. Okay, now the replacement of these heads, actually, it's not, well, it's fairly simple. I just throw in a clean filter like that, doof, down there, so it sits like that. And then I very simply just turn the head back in. Now, you probably won't be able to turn it completely in. I just wait until it's like taken on the thread, and then I pull it out. I hold on to the stem here of this pop-up, and then I tighten it. And then on this, you can set it right here. On this head right here, come on, focus. it'll show you from where it sprays. So that'll be your, not left trip point, but your left end point right there. Hold on, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. So these ones you can actually set like doing that. Your bigger Rainbird 5000 plus, you can't do this. You'll actually strip the gear. So that'll be my left, basically trip point. So that's fine. Oh, and then obviously you can set your direction. I'm going to do about 45 degrees or 50 degrees here, maybe a little bit more, 60 degrees, but we'll set them later on. Okay, so the only thing left for me to do now is to see whether the system works, and the reason why I haven't backfilled yet is it's actually quite a lot easier to work with these sprinklers when the pipes are backfilled a little bit so they don't move around as much. It's just to check whether there is serious leaks before I close this up. I don't see any areas where there could be potentially serious leaks, but I'm just going to test it before I flip and close everything, and I have to open it up later. Okay. So the moment of truth. Oh, there she goes. Okay, needs a little bit of adjustment, but looking good. Looking very good. Down here. Okay, four sprinklers might have been a bit of an overkill for 15 square meters. You'd have probably gotten away with one sprinkler in the middle of the green. But you know, always lekker to live and learn. Goodness, yeah, that's a lot of water for. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be like 10 mils in 2 minutes on that little area. Is it too big, the sprinklers there, Joma? It's too big.
Too big.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Too much.
I should have just put one sprinkler or two.
No, but it's enough.
It's enough, but it's too much. Yeah, even, I mean, Joma, but he's actually the specialist, yeah. I'm the one who's making the mistakes in the yard. Yeah, no major leaks. The trenches are actually bone dry. So that's and I've actually just checked all the fittings now where I've joined the pipe, and I don't see any leaks either. So this looks lekker. Okay, so basically all done. All there's left to do now is backfilling. I'm just showing you how my system looks here. That's where the ring feed obviously splits. So all you want to do now is make sure that all your pipes are deep enough when you backfill, or they're as low as possible. And then obviously where your sprinkler is actually located. I would like mine, especially with cutting this part of lawn as low or green as low. I want them actually below the soil. They're going to sit right on the edge between the Kentucky bluegrass and the bent grass, but I want them just below the soil. So when I come over with my reel mower, no catching, no dinging, no changing sprinkler heads every second day. So we're actually holding the sprinkler in place while he's backfilling. Put a foot on there. Okay. That looks, I think that's perfect, Joma. You see, they're just below the level of the grass. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So one thing I did forget to talk about is the amount of sprinklers that you need, or how closely you need to place them to each other. So very simply, for best results, place them so that they shoot from head to head. In other words, the closest sprinkler to whichever sprinkler should at least shoot to that sprinkler. So if your range is on this specific sprinkler, it's 5 meters, then you place your sprinklers approximately 5 meters apart from each other. That'll ensure you to get the best coverage. So in other words, if you're watering 10 mils, all of your area gets 10 mil, and not one pot gets 20 mil and one only gets 5 mil. And you really ensure that by placing them close enough to each other so that they can reach each other. In other words, if you place them where the range of the water ends and that other sprinkler shoots only to where the range of the sprinkler watering range ends, you'd not nearly get as effective coverage as when you place them range head to head coverage, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. So all the sprinklers are set here in place. All there's left to do now is backfill. And before we do that, I just want to talk about some of the traps and just set this whole video into a conclusion. Sorry, it is quite a long video. I've talked so much. But a couple of things to watch out for, look out for, is exactly what I've explained in the beginning, is basically determining your pressure and flow rate, and then determining how many sprinklers you can use per zone. So if you've got a very, very large area and you're working off a pressure pump, it might be advisable to rather install a bigger pump that provides a bigger flow rate. That'll obviously get you to use less zones and service a bigger area with one single zone, if that makes sense to you. So rather installing a 1.1 kilowatt pump instead of a 0.55 kilowatt pump will allow you to put 5, 6, 7, 8 sprinklers on a zone instead of 2, 3 or 4 sprinklers in a zone, and servicing a lot bigger area. So those are the things to watch out for. Another thing here, obviously put your pipes as deep as possible so you don't puncture them. That happens so quickly. I've done it a million times. Believe me, you do forget where they are. You stick a fork into the ground and boom, you've got a hole in your pipe, and that is quite a hassle. But other than that, I tell you what, if you are fairly handy, this is one of the most enjoyable and one of the most rewarding projects that you will ever do. I promise you, I don't think I would have ever been able to have a lawn like this if it wasn't for sprinklers and irrigation systems. Luckily, I've got a borehole, so if you're working off municipal water, obviously it costs you a little bit more, and sometimes they advise you not to water because we're running short of water. But yeah, those are the biggest traps, and I tell you what, irrigation saves you so much time and so much effort, and is probably I tell you, I think it is my favorite part after mowing, is hearing those sprinklers go off at 6 in the morning and watering my garden. I don't know, there's just something so calming and rewarding about that. It's nature for me. I don't know, I absolutely love it. So I think this is a project that you'll be able to take on. If you haven't done something like this, maybe consider doing it. Saves you a lot of time and it is so rewarding. But yeah, those are the traps to look out for. Obviously, if you're working off a borehole pump, get the pump as big as possible. That'll save you on buying solenoids and extra piping to do extra zones and all those type of things. So those are the traps. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like this video and share it. I really, really do appreciate everyone's support. This channel has grown so lekker over the last period of time. I really do appreciate that. So yeah, is there anything else? I think that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much. I'll show you how we backfill this, and I'll see you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing that. Cheers guys. Bye bye.